Hi, my name is Gracie, and this is what happens when you play one too many video games in 2023. I meant to make this video 3 weeks ago, and it didn't happen. I actually filmed this video, and then I didn't like it, so I scrapped it, and I am doing this again. So video games were great this year. I played a lot of video games. My script actually says I played a lot of bangers. So I played a lot of bangers this year. A lot of video games. And I would like to clarify, this is a list of video games I finished. So there's a few video games I started and I got like maybe 90% of the way through, or maybe I just played the tutorial and I didn't really like it. But this is a list of the video games that I have finished this year. So I think this video might be kind of long, so we're just going to get straight into it. The first video game I played this year was God of War Ragnarök. I think God of War 2018 got added to PS Plus catalog, and that's why I played it. Because honestly, these games are not the type of genre that I would normally play. And I don't know why I wouldn't have played these games on my own. Both God of War games are an incredible experience. I remember the first time I unlocked the Bifrost in God of War 2018, I was just in complete awe of how that game teleports you around. My brother actually pointed out how the game is constructed to be like a one-shot cinematic movie with no loading screens, and it's just like, it's really, really incredible. The game is amazing. I think like every single weapon in the game feels just equally good to use. Like there's like an axe and there's like a spear, and it's like so fun, and I don't understand how they managed to make it do that. Like I will be playing the game and I'm like, oh yeah, the axe is my favorite weapon, I love throwing it and bringing it back, and then I'm like, wait, I forgot how fun the swords on the chains were to use. This is ridiculous. But and then I got the spear and I was like, well, this one's fun too, and it's like I'm blown away. Like I don't understand. There's so much moving that just happened. I don't understand how the game devs managed to make every aspect of that game just so rich and so fun. But if there's one thing I despise in video games, it is backtracking. And you know what game has a lot of backtracking? God of War, but it's fun. I don't know how they managed to do it. Like it's so fun. The environments are fun. Like I love like breaking open all the pots. Like it's such a fun game. Like there's even this one thing that you do where you like can look up at a wall and you like sling your blade to it and you like grapple hook up, and it's so fun. Like it's literally just like it's a single button press, but it's so satisfying to watch. Like it's just like I said, this game is so good. Like it's such a great game. There's free DLC that came out over Christmas, and I probably won't be playing the DLC because a little secret about myself is I'm actually not very good at video games. I'm a little bit of a grumpy girl, and I just think roguelikes annoy me just like a little bit too much. But if you've never played God of War 2018 or God of War Ragnarok, I really, really suggest it. It's an amazing experience. Like I just go play these games. The next game I played was Jedi Fallen Order, and let me tell you something. I should hate these games. I should hate every aspect of these Star Wars games. They are Souls-likes, they are Metroidvanias, they have so much backtracking. I should hate them, but let me tell you something. I enjoyed it. I think Jedi Fallen Order is a pretty good game. I know that's obvious to anyone who's not me, but I'm serious when I say I should hate these games. The only things I don't like in the Jedi Fallen Order games are there are like monsters that have this one-shot move that can just kill the character, and it's so frustrating and so punishing. The Star Wars Jedi games are the closest I'll ever get to finishing a Souls-like, because I like bashed my head against the final boss for hours. Jedi Fallen Order has this mechanic where, I don't know, it's a mechanic, but it has this mechanic where the last enemy that killed you turns red. So you can go up to it and you can hit it and you can get all your XP back. But when an enemy does an attack that's unparryable and you have to dodge it, they also turn red. So this final boss kept killing me, and it kept turning red, and then I wouldn't know it would be when she would be doing these unparryable attacks, and it was so frustrating because I was unable to see. And I realized like I could have, I don't know, watched, I could have learned or something instead of just like banging my head against a wall for like a couple hours until I beat her. I've never spent so long on a boss, and I will never ever be doing that again. Another thing I literally just thought about is that the map in these games are so bad. Like, they're so frustrating. I actually tried to play Jedi Fallen Order a couple years back when it originally came out because people were loving it, and I was like, well, I like Star Wars, maybe I'll like this game too. And I actually didn't finish the game because I got lost and I couldn't figure out how to get out of the freaking cave, and I was so frustrated, and I just put the controller down. Like, I was so frustrated with the game and the punishing mechanics, and I was done. I have more to say on these Jedi games later, but for now we're gonna move on. So I think I'm a little chronologically out of order, but somewhere last year I played a tiny little indie game. You might not have even heard about it. It's called Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy is a good game. It's solid. The story is solid. The characters are solid. The combat is honestly not. It's really good, actually. The world is solid, and the collectibles could be better. There is just so much shit to collect in Hogwarts Legacy. Like, but actually, we should start with the good things. I really like the game. The combat floor allows for some fun combos, but the combat ceiling allows for really fun enemy juggling and environmental play. The story is a little drawn out. I think the game also introduces new mechanics a little slowly, but I love how the map changes as the seasons change, and it just turns into this like gorgeous winter landscape. I also love how the game treats you being in different Hogwarts houses really interesting. So my first playthrough, I was a Slytherin, and it was really fun on my second playthrough to play as a Hufflepuff and hear all the different dialogue changes. I also played as a girl in my first playthrough and a boy in my second playthrough, just because I loved all the outfits and I wanted to see all the male outfits, and the outfits in the game are amazing. The customization is amazing. I love how you can customize your wand. Like, I loved doing that. I loved designing my wand and customizing it. It was amazing. I love decorating the room of requirement. There are just so many systems of gameplay that someone can do to change it up and have some fun. And I really enjoyed like 99% of all of them. I remember in my first playthrough, I really, really didn't want the game to end. But I had completed the main story, and the only thing left was the stupid collectibles. There are so many boring collectibles in this game. There's one collectible where literally, I think there's like 50 of them or something, where you just like fly on your broom and you land on it, and that's the entire collectible. There's nothing more to it, and it's so boring. And there's like a million of them. There's also all these balloons you have to pop, and you have to like just fly around and touch the balloon, and like if you do it in the wrong order, you miss a balloon, you're like flying around trying to find a balloon, and it's like, it's not fun. I also wanted more consequences. Like, I'd never, ever do evil playthroughs. But I was like, I don't know, it's freaking Hogwarts. Like, why the heck not do an evil playthrough? Like, why not? And there just wasn't a lot of consequences. And I was a little disappointed that in maybe like my second or third time ever playing as like an evil character, there just wasn't any consequences. Apparently there was a patch where if you do banned spells, the cops come and get you. I don't know why that made me laugh. I just like imagined like a police car just running into Hogwarts Castle. But I haven't played this new update where the cops come and get you, but maybe it's good. I don't know. The map is also too big. Like, I'm gonna put a little diagram of what the map looks like, but the map is huge. There's like a whole area past the dam that is just like completely useless. Like, there's no reason it should be there. It just makes the map unnecessarily big, and it draws out the story a little bit too much. I really felt that drawing out that unneeded bulk gameplay filler on my second playthrough. But it was a lot of fun, and I did play it 1.5 times because I didn't actually finish that second playthrough. But I still recommend it. It's got a lot of flaws, but it is a fun Hogwarts experience. After playing that, I replayed Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I love this game. It's a perfect length for playthroughs, and like the swinging and the combat is like so fun. I don't know what I'm doing with my body today. The combat is so much fun. It is like I remember that when I was first playing the Spider-Man games, it's just fun to bounce around and just be Spider-Man. Like I don't think I'm explaining that very well, but like even the simplest little movements, like running up a wall or sitting there just looking at the city, it's just so much fun. And I loved playing Spider-Man 2018, but like I said, Spider-Man Miles Morales is just where it's at. I think the suits aren't much better in Miles Morales because the suits are like the best part of these games, but the story and the characters and everything else is so much fun. The next game I played is actually a collection. I feel like I'm like, why am I sitting like this? The next game I played was actually a collection of games called the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. I had never played Mass Effect before, but they are so good. Like I am in awe at how good the Mass Effect games are. Like playing all three games back to back was just fantastic. I do kind of wish the choices I made in game 1 and game 2 had more effect in game 3, but the choices I always made within the games themselves were engaging and they were fun and they had great consequences. I think my favorite of the trilogy might have been Mass Effect 2. I remember picking the wrong weapon class at the very start of the game, but I love the companions that get introduced in Mass Effect 2. I love Miranda and Jack and Legion and Grunt and Mordin. I love Mordin. Garrus and Liara were like my babies, and I accidentally romanced Caden in the first game, which is possible, don't ask how. But I loved becoming his friend and growing our relationship in the second games. Like it was just, it was so beautiful to watch these rich characters change and grow as the games went on. I also got all the collectibles and explored every planet in Mass Effect 2 and 3. I didn't do it in the first game, which I don't regret at all not doing in the first game. I knew playing them was going to take time. Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention Laura Bailey is in these games. I love Laura Bailey. I was like in an elevator, like sitting there. I guess I can lower. Wait, this is like be a fun effect. I was in an elevator, like going down, and I'm like, all of a sudden the elevator goes, floor 2, and I was like, that's Laura Bailey's voice. It like blew my mind. Like I rode the elevator again just to check. Oh wait, look, I can do the same effect. So I rode the stupidest thing I've ever done. I rode the elevator again just to check if it was Laura Bailey's voice, and it was. I was like, oh, me and all my friends are here. I have loved Laura Bailey for years because she plays the best characters in Critical Role. You can argue with me if you'd like. But it was so trippy to have her just be a random background voice in this beautiful collection of games. I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I always play as a good person. I did purposefully make choices that I thought would have the biggest overall effect, but I did 99% of the time pick the good person choices. I don't remember what the good or bad. I think it was like hero or vigilante or something like that. I always picked the good hero choices. Also, I played as female Shepard, which I think is the non-canonical Shepard, but let me tell you something. I couldn't romance Miranda? Are you kidding me? I couldn't romance Panam and now Miranda. You don't understand how upset I was when I figured this out. If I ever play the Mass Effect collection again, which is like 100 some hour dedication, I'm going to play as a boy just to romance Miranda. It's so stupid. After finishing like 200 hours of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, I didn't know what to do with my life. I'm not joking. After I finished the third game and I saw the final cutscene, I had a dream that night that I was Shepard. I literally dreamt that I was out there among the stars, like shooting aliens, saving the world, making out with Miranda, maybe, who knows. And it took me a while to return to reality. It obviously wasn't as dramatic as I'm presenting it now, but I definitely had the post-show blues. Like, I felt like I'd finished something so monumental, and then all of a sudden I had to leave these characters behind that I'd grown to love and I'd put hundreds of hours into. It was strange. Like, life is strange. Once again, I may be a bit chronologically confused, but according to my PS5 save data, the next game I played was Life is Strange, True Colors, and fuck me. Talk about pulling yourself out of one world to the next. Like, I remember, oh my gosh, I remember after Mass Effect, I tried playing other shooters, and it just wasn't working. And so I tried Life is Strange 2. Yeah, not Life is Strange, True Colors. Life is Strange 2 came out a couple years before True Colors, and I remember that's what that says. I remember not being able to fully get into this story, and I remember feeling like maybe the Life is Strange games just aren't for me. The first Life is Strange game had such an indirect impact on my life and my discovering my sexuality through YouTube playthroughs, and God, I was such an angsty teenager. But PS5 then added to their catalog Life is Strange, True Colors, and I was like, I don't know, I guess I'll try again. I remember watching the trailer for this when it came out, and let me tell you something, I loved it. Life is Strange, True Colors definitely has issues, one of them being that Alex's powers are sort of inconsistent and undefined. However, the story and the characters are just fantastic. The voice acting, fantastic. The mocap, fantastic. The music, fantastic. I mean, really, really great game. Don't Nod recently released a trailer for their new game, which I didn't put the title in here, but whatever. And I'm totally gonna play it. I loved the old Telltale games, and so I guess I'm not surprised I liked True Colors. I was just surprised by how much it affected me. My obsession with Life is Strange, True Colors, and that time of my life, it is a moment that will never be reached again, and I hope it doesn't, because it was honestly very stressful, but Life is Strange, True Colors really got me through it. Little secret here, I actually watch my own videos. I watch them, and I get a little nostalgic, remembering my old dorm, and that old space that was my own. I didn't even love my roommates, and I didn't love being woken up at 3 a.m. by a fire alarm one time, but it was a space I could do anything with. It was my own little place. I filmed my YouTube videos in the wildest way possible. I had my window fully open for natural light, and I was on the first floor. So I remember thinking, this isn't weird. It's not weird that I have headshots of characters and Hellcats. That's not weird at all. Nobody think this is weird. Please don't look at my window. And I don't know. I've been out of college for a while and working an adult job. And let me tell you something. A real job is easier than being in college. Like, what the heck? Like, that shit was hard. Well, after my entire perspective on life was changed, I had to play a different type of game. So the next game I finished was Horizon Forbidden West and its DLC. Oh, you can see my knee. I really loved Horizon Zero Dawn, the prequel. Technically it wasn't a prequel. Technically Horizon Forbidden West is a sequel, but the first game in the what I'm assuming is going to be a trilogy. I think Horizon Forbidden West is a good game. It's a 7 out of 10 game, somehow not as good as the first game, which was like a 9 out of 10 game, but it's really good. I think the first game was so monumental because you're discovering this whole new world, a world of people you've never met before, a world with cultures you've never seen before, a world of like fantasy, incredible art direction and style and story, and the lore is really confusing to explain to people, but it's an amazing, amazing game. Then the second game is the first game, but again. And you're in this world again, and it's still fun, and you're still the same plucky main character, but you already know so much about this world and its people that there isn't as much discovery and there isn't as much mystery. Horizon Zero Dawn will always be one of my favorite games. I will never forget the end credits of that game, flying through a cauldron. And if you can remember the end credits of a game or a movie and it makes you nostalgic, I mean, what other sign is there that you loved the hell out of that thing? I really do like Horizon Forbidden West, but it's just another video game to me. It's not something monumental or life-changing or perspective-shifting. I love Aloy and Katalo and Beta, and one of my problems with the game is actually that the main character, Aloy, is really mean to Beta. And I'm like, why? Aloy, she's just being a little pessimistic. She was born into slavery, and then she's now trying to overthrow her captors who she thinks are invincible? Give her a break. Another problem with the game that I didn't say anything I liked about the game, which I guess is whatever, but another problem I had with the game is I didn't really like half of the companions. In the first game, there's this character named Erend, and he is amazing, and I love him. But he's somehow, way less interesting in the second game. I don't know what they did to him. They hurt my boy. And there's also this other character named Zoe, and she's just so boring to me. I don't, she has a really amazing and really beautifully directed. I don't know what is so beautiful about this cutscene. It's probably one of the best cutscenes in the whole game, where she gets introduced. But after that, she's really boring. The first time I played the game, I would talk to every single person, and I was like, well, I want to hear all the dialogue. I want to meet all these companions because I love the first game so much. And the second time I played the game, I was just I don't care about these people. They don't have a lot to do in the narrative. There's this one companion. There's this one companion named Oliva, and when I first met her, I didn't like her. But then she had something to do with the plot, and so I grew to like her. And I just think the others really needed something like that. I also really do, I guess I should say what I like about the game. I like the cauldrons. I think they're really compelling tone. I think they're scary, and I love how the outside world, what am I doing with my hands? I love how the outside world is so green and grassy and beautiful, and then inside the cauldrons it's all metal and machinery and clanging and banging and danger and scary and what is this with my arm. But I hated anytime the game would ask me to climb anything. The climbing in this game is not good. It's not. It's you press a little button and it goes ding, and it shows you all the ways you can climb. That was actually a really good impression of what the sound effect is. But Aloy, the player character, is not good at doing what you're asking her to do. So you'll be like, Aloy, I'm pressing forward, climb forward, and she'll be like, I don't really want to do that. And I'm like, there are these vents in the cauldrons that pop up and you can climb on them, and when they fall back down, you fall off and you die. And Aloy would not climb these things to save her life. She would climb them so incredibly slowly. And I think the devs did this to be we're adding tension by making Aloy move slowly across this timed event. But what they're really doing is frustrating me. There's this one part of the game where you have to climb across 3 sets of these vents, and one vent is closing, so you gotta jump over to the other one really quickly while it's opening, and then you gotta jump to another one, and it's the most frustrating part of this game. I think I haven't rage quit in years, but I think I cried a little bit during this scene. I think I almost lost it. And it wasn't because I was being stupid, which happens a lot. I get stumped in games because I'm being stupid. It happens. It was because Aloy was not doing what I was asking her to. It was so frustrating. Lastly, the end of the game kind of feels like nothing really happened. It kind of feels like it's just a setup for the third game, which I will be playing because I feel like I'm so deep into it now, sunk cost fallacy. But I don't know. It feels so unfinished. There's also so many like gadgets that the game gives you that I just like never interacted with. There's this little like thing in the corner. Like if you can imagine, like in this corner of the screen, there's like a little pinwheel that you can sort through by clicking the D-pad. So you're like doing this, but there's like 50 items in this little wheel. And so if you're on item 1 and you'd like to get to item 20, you have to sit there and go, you have to like sit there and go click, 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 click. And I'm dying. I'm dying. And when you think, and when you're fighting and you're dodging and you're pulling your arrows back and you're like, oh no, I should eat a piece of food or I should lay a trap down. You're not gonna want to scroll through this little wheel. And so I never used it. This is not a good explanation. I hope I'm putting some nice visuals to explain what I'm talking about. But I never used it. They gave us so many things in this game that I just ignored. So many mechanics that I just couldn't have cared less about. And I feel like that's not good game design. Okay, now I really have to move on from the main game and talk about the DLC, even though I feel like I just complained about the main game for like 10 minutes. But the DLC in Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game, is really fun, really innovative. Like, it really shakes up the gameplay. Like, I don't even understand. Like, there's like, it's like there's this one scene. Okay, I can't talk about it. Just play Horizon Zero Dawn and play the DLC, and then when you get to the dam, have a really fun time. There's in the DLC for Horizon Forbidden West, there's a woman that Aloy can romance, whose name I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna remember her name right now. I'm gonna do it. This is me remembering her name. Yeah. It's Seika. Her name is Seika, and she's great. She's really good. I enjoyed meeting her, and I enjoyed all the scenes with her. There's a fun scene where you're flying on like a bird. I don't know what I'm doing with my arms in this video. You're flying on a bird. And Seika's like, I don't like this. And Aloy's like, yeah! I don't know what I'm doing. The DLC's fun. It's got some really good what is it? Big set pieces. Has some really fun set pieces. The final boss is really fun. I wish though, the DLC has some issues. Like, it has like one plot hole like right in the middle, like the beginning of the game, like the middle. What am I saying? It has one plot hole like right at the beginning of the DLC that you just have to like carry on with. I feel like I'm so off topic. I await with bated breath for the next Horizon game. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be fun to take my bow and arrow and dodge. Aloy's a great character, and Ashley Birch acts her whole heart and soul out in this role. I do just kind of wish that you could romance Erend and Sun King Avad. I wish you'd romance these characters. Like, I understand. Okay, look, I understand. Not every character you play can be bisexual, because that's inaccurate to reality. But why can't every character in a video game be bisexual? You know, like, what's, like, really stopping them? The next game I played was Jedi Survivor, which means we get to talk about the unresolved issues from the first game, because they're still there. Yay. Why did I play the second game? Okay, let me talk about the good stuff first. I'm wearing an undershirt, and it's, like, really, really fighting me. It really doesn't want to do all of this. Okay, wait, the good things, okay, focus. The good things about Jedi Survivor. I feel like I'm at a talk show. Well, Kelly Clarkson, great. Here are the things I really liked about Jedi Survivor. I think the characters are really compelling, really interesting, really great voice acting and mocap, and just really great overall. I think the costumes are a little funny, but I do really enjoy all the cosmetics in this game. Like, if you like the cosmetics in the Star Wars games, get ready for playing Jedi Survivor, because you can give my man a mullet. I don't remember what my player character Cal ended up looking like. I think he ended up just looking like Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption, but I did love the romance between the two characters, Cal and Marin. I think Marin's voice actor's fucking phenomenal, dude. Fucking phenomenal, dude. what am I doing? I think Marin's voice actor is shining. Like, she's just so good. I love the new stances and the new force powers. I think the stances I used the most were dual wielding and double bladed. So when you put the lightsabers together and you have one. I think dual wielding was the best. The dual wielding was the best. Maybe even OP a little bit. Some of the boss fights were really, really incredible, really innovative. Some of them were horrible. I once again bashed my head against a few bosses in this game. In the final fight with spoilers, the final fight with Baulder, I wasn't having fun. I actually had such a small amount of fun in that final fight. I did something I don't think I have. No, I've done this before, but never in a boss fight, only because I am getting my ass beat. But I actually lowered the difficulty of the game to defeat the final boss. And I feel like it was mind-blowing. Like, there's 5 levels of difficulty in the Jedi Survivor games. There's easy, easiest, a little less easy, normal, a little harder, death. And it moving from normal to slightly easier, it really genuinely shocked me how much easier the game was, just with that slight change from option 3 to option 2. And it was like, I felt like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now, and it's scripted. I feel like I felt like I just wasn't having fun at the very end of this game, and I just wanted out of there. And I feel like the game also wanted out of there. Like, it was done with me, and I was done with it. I would now like to return to those stupid one-shot attacks. There's a Ragnarök in a cave that attacks you twice and jumps out with no warning. There's no warning. The game's just like, oh, you want to explore this cave? Bang! Bang, she said. One shot attack that kills you, and it's really frustrating. The map in this game was better, though. I just rambled and then was like, we gotta move on. The map in this game was better, though. I can't remember what they changed about the map, but I remember the map in this game was better than the map in the first game. And I know that because I didn't get lost and give up. I will probably play the third game, because sunk cost fallacy, I mentioned it earlier, so it will be on the pop quiz. But I'm just annoyed, even thinking about Jedi Survivor. There are some real improvements in this game compared to the first. But Souls-likes maybe just aren't for me. Especially Souls-like Metroidvanias. I might just watch the cinematic movie that someone will make about Jedi Survivor, or not Jedi Survivor, whatever they call the third game. But I don't know. No other game on this list has frustrated me like Jedi Survivor. Tears of the Kingdom was a technological marvel. I don't understand how they got that game running on the Switch. I don't understand how you can be standing at the highest point in the sky and dive all the way down through a hole in the earth down to the lowest part of the game with no loading screens. I don't understand how they did that on the Switch, which is 6 or 7 years old, and it can't even run The Witcher. I don't understand how they managed to do that. I'm captivated by this game. The story isn't perfect, but it's really, really good. I was compelled. I'm not reading the script. I love Breath of the Wild. I don't know how many hours I have put into Breath of the Wild, but easily over 9,000. I have done everything in Breath of the Wild except get the Korok seeds at least 5 times. I checked when writing this, and I actually put over 130 hours into Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't think I like Tears of the Kingdom as much as I like Breath of the Wild. I love how simple Breath of the Wild was. My favorite part of that game is when you first load in, and you have no armor, you have 3 hearts, and every hit is potentially your last. You literally have nothing. You're running around with a stick and an apple, and it's so simple. Tears of the Kingdom is not simple. It's kind of hard to explain without sounding a little stupid, and I am a little stupid. But I knew while I was playing the game that I was engaging with systems that I don't think I was using in the most effective way. I just am not... Okay, look, let me actually compare this with something else. It reminded me of Redstone in Minecraft. I have played Minecraft since Shadow of Israfel, and I do not understand Redstone in Minecraft. Whenever I would experiment with it, I could make maybe simple pushy-pulley machines, but I would get a little frustrated because I was following tutorials, but I just didn't understand. Like, it made me feel stupid, and because of that, I just didn't interact with the system. In Tears of the Kingdom, you cannot not interact with the Ultra Hand ability, which is their Redstone system. And so I ended up just making really simple machines, and even with that, sometimes I would get frustrated. I also think in Breath of the Wild, the Sky Islands are great, but the Deep Dark is fully and completely boring. I did the entire Deep Dark and rarely felt compelled to even explore. I know it sounds crazy, but it just wasn't interesting. The moment I realized the depths was just the overworld map, but everywhere there was water, there was just a wall, it was boring. I'm someone who's kind of objective based, and I think, but Tears of the Kingdom just didn't snap with me in the right way. I love 75% of Tears of the Kingdom, but the last 25% is so frustrating and deterring to me that I might need time before I can go back to this game. I technically didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't defeat Ganon because earlier in my playthrough, I accidentally stumbled into the boss room, and I fought Ganon as far as I could go until I didn't have the Master Sword, and I just kind of let Link die and teleported out of the boss area. But after doing all the shrines and getting all the light bulbs, or whatever those things were called, I just was kind of done playing it. I never played Breath of the Wild to defeat Ganon, and so when I was done with everything in the Sky Islands, the Overworld, and the Underworld, I was just kind of done. I didn't have enough motivation to complete the game. My last note on the game is that I really dislike the new hero abilities. I genuinely would cut off my leg if it meant I could have Rivali's Gale back. I love the abilities in the first game. Like, I didn't even think I used the abilities in the second game for a couple of reasons. Firstly, they were not very useful. A gust of wind from Tulin is fun and nice, but when you can create planes, it's not very useful. Secondly, when you wanted to use a champion's ability... Why am I sitting like this again? Secondly, when you wanted to use a champion's ability, you had to, like, run up to them and select them and then point the direction you'd like to use the ability and then use the ability. And it was really, really frustrating, especially when you're fighting, like, 7 enemies all at once, and you're having, like, a slime jump at you, and then you're having a guy with a spear, like, try and get you. And I'm like, I'm trying to dodge and fight and run up to your friend to select their ability, to turn, to use their ability is so clunky and really, really frustrating. The companions are also scripted to, like, move around the battlefield on their own and not just, like, follow right behind you. So I would be, like, running after Sidon, and I'd be like, Sidon, I'd like to use your ability. I'd like to use your ability, please. And he's, like, running away from me, and it was really frustrating. Like, there was just... I worry that these are only problems that I had. Like, I feel like I was too stupid or too bad at gaming to use the Ultra Hand ability, or not good enough at the combat to run after my companions and try and click on them. But I feel crazy. Okay, while I was writing the script, I did research if other people were having similar or different complaints about Breath of the Wild. And I did actually find this Reddit post, of course it's Reddit, in which someone is complaining, and they said, I don't like crafting. Ultra Hand, what? I don't like crafting, parentheses, Ultra Hand, close parenthesis. And unfortunately, it's a key part of the game. Not seeing anything in the underground, having companions following me around all the time, and being the same color, and tanking the frame rate. I don't like their powers either, and how you have to walk up to them to activate their abilities. It's clunky. I personally don't really care that you couldn't see in the underground. I actually thought it was kind of fun to throw light berries around and illuminate everything. But I completely agree with everything else this commenter said. I was also reading other comments and it reminded me of other things I didn't like in Breath of the Wild, but I really just have to move on before the gamers come after me for this one because it's honestly a bad opinion. This is definitely out of chronological order because I played Tears of the Kingdom months ago, but I feel like I just played Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2, good game, great game. Not a perfect game. I will always miss Peter's old face. Rest in peace, Peter's old face. You were loved. I heard someone say that they redid Peter's face in the, what is that word? When you take something and you make it better looking. Remaster. I heard that they changed Peter's face in the remaster because, it was harder to animate the first face, but I feel like they didn't have to change it so much. I don't know. I also feel like Yuri Lowenthal, who voice acts Peter, his voice matches the first face's voice. What? The first face more than it matches the second face. And, that's fine, but, what? Like I said, R.I.P. Peter's old face. You know what I really did like about Spider-Man 2 that I don't think other people liked? The MJ scenes. I love playing as MJ. It's actually really fun. It kind of had like a Last of Us feel, which was kind of funny because MJ is voiced by Laura Bailey. And I saw the game director say that he didn't care that people didn't like the MJ scenes. And honestly, good for him. Stand your ground, sir. I like the MJ scenes in the first game too. I think MJ is great. I also really enjoyed playing as both Spider-Men. Like, both Peter and Miles were so fun with their different skill sets. They have totally different ways of play. Like, Peter's much more air juggling, and Miles was more, like, punchy. But, like, it was really fun. I also loved the suits in this game. Like, the suits in Spider-Man 2 are, like, fan-friggin-tastic. Honestly, like, I loved the classic suits and then changing their colors into being, like, a color scheme that's not a classic color scheme. Like, I honestly would love... I normally liked the color variants more than I liked the normal color of suits. Like, the game is also, like, objectively beautiful. In the first Spider-Man game, I spent a lot of time, like, seriously just, like, climbing along walls. And I would stop and look at myself in the video game and see my reflection. And it was fun. Like, I wish I did that more in the second game because ray tracing is always on and it's just this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rendition of a stinky, smelly New York. Okay, also, spoilers again. I really loved the fight scene with MJ as Scream. Like, are you kidding me? Laura Bailey? Act your heart out? Oh my gosh! Like, she is beyond talented. I secretly want to be a voice actor sometimes when I think I have talent. But I just love Laura Bailey's work. Now to the stuff I didn't like. I didn't like the Mysterium collectibles. They were frustrating. I didn't like how you could only play them as Miles. I feel like Peter also would have cared to take down Mysterio. I also really didn't like that the side quest with the cult was like 4 side quests that didn't even resolve itself. Like, it was like stupid. I don't know. Like, I know it's going to be something that's going to happen in the third game, but those 4 side quests had less resolution than 1 side quest with Black Cat. And I also have a nitpick that I feel like more people should be pointing out. The fact that Peter and Miles never actually fight together against the same boss. Like, they fight with each other, but they never fight the same boss together. Like, I know you've seen this ad where Venom throws a car at Peter and Miles and they're in the street, and then they turn and they're like, we're gonna fight you, Venom. And they never do that in the game. There is never a scene in that game where Peter and Miles are fighting Venom. And I think that is so strange. I also really wish Miles's family and friends weren't so sidelined in this game. Like, you see Genki like one time. Like, I loved Genki. Why was there not more Genki? I'm sure there was a reason. But also, there's been a lot of discourse about Miles's final suit and how much it sucks. But to me, it's okay. Okay? It's like 6 out of 10. You know whose suit really sucks? Peter's white Venom suit sucks. It is not a good suit. Like I'm looking at myself and not at the camera. That is not a good suit. What else did I not like? There wasn't enough stealth. I loved stealthing in the first game. I feel like this second game didn't create set pieces that were as conducive to stealth. And I loved stealthing. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like Miles' ability to turn invisible, like, wasn't really utilized in this game at all. And I don't know, that's all I gotta say about this. I also did not think Spider-Man 2 was going to win Game of the Year. I knew what game was going to win Game of the Year, and that game was Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate is incredible. Oh my gosh. I don't know what this voice is. It's not a perfect game. Baldur's Gate 3 is not a perfect game. I am very aware of its flaws. Very aware as someone who's sunk this many hours into it. But the world is rich and dense, and its lore is rich and dense, and its characters are amazing, and it's everything about it is just incredible. I didn't think I was even going to like Baldur's Gate when it first released on PC, and then somehow I ended up, like, pre-ordering it for PS5 and playing the hell out of it and loving it. Like, I love that game. My second playthrough, I found so much stuff that I had missed in my first playthrough that I was literally shocked. Like, I literally didn't, like, I probably found more things in that second playthrough than I found in the first playthrough. And the first playthrough I played through blind. Like, I felt like I knew everything my second playthrough and still discovered so much incredible secrets that I just didn't know were there. However, I loved my first playthrough. First playthrough, best playthrough. I played a wood elf cleric who was gay for Shadowheart, and her name was Theophania. And her party was Shadowheart, Gale, and Will. And it was a very abnormal first playthrough. I feel like I missed so much stuff, and I feel like I beelined it a little bit too much. But it was just a great game. Like, Baldur's Gate is such an incredible game. Like, I feel like anyone can play through it and anyone can have fun. Even if they aren't playing it correctly, they can have an incredible experience in this incredibly rich and wonderful world. What am I doing with my hand? Now it's time for my qualms. This game has the horse's share of backtracking. Also, in the beginning of the game, it's like a really important thing that you can mind control people, and then like at a certain point in the game, you just never mind control another person. And I was like, why are we not just mind controlling this person sometimes? Also, there are like 0 consequences to eating more mind flayers, which was really surprising to me. I did not turn into a mind flayer in my playthrough of the game, but I did eat all of the mind flayers that I could. Also, I think the game doesn't save enough. And I think it's because the autosave feature is like right there. Or not autosave, the quick save feature is right there. But I kind of feel like I was save scumming at a certain point because I was saving so often. And I never used that that quick save to see a consequence to a choice and unmake my choice, but I did save so often and reload so many saves after dying that it kind of felt scummy. Also, sometimes companions would just like decide that they didn't want to follow you, and so you'd be walking along, like, and then you realize like Gale just isn't following you, and you'd be like, Gale, where are you? So you'd select Gale, and you'd go see where he is, and it turns out he stopped following you like 20 minutes ago, and like the game just didn't alert you of that at all. I also kind of feel like persuasion is the most important stat in the whole game, because my first playthrough, I had like a plus 12 to persuasion, plus a d4 with guidance, and I just talked my way through everything. In the second playthrough, I was a little frustrated because I knew that I was just going to fail the dialogue and have to fight everything. And I just kind of ended up using Astarion for everything in my second playthrough, which is a little frustrating because I made a wonderful character in my second playthrough, and I wanted to play as her. I didn't want to play as Astarion. I guess that's all my issues, though. I mean, in like a 100-hour RPG, having like 3 flaws is incredible. Like, I mean, I'd say they're killing it. I have never played a game like Baldur's Gate before, and honestly, it opened me up to so many different types of video games that I didn't think I'd be interested in. I grew up playing those like text-only games on Choice of Games, so I guess it makes sense that I would have liked Baldur's Gate. But I don't know, it was still such a wonderful and surprising experience. Baldur's Gate opened me up to new games, and so the next game I played was Disco Elysium, and it's a great game! I would suggest if you haven't played Disco Elysium, you play it immediately. It's not extremely long. It took me probably longer than it should have because I was just being stupid. But I feel like I picked the best starter class and I got the best ending. So like I feel like I won the game and I'm like I don't know, I killed it. I like I said, I really think you should play the game. I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like it's best experienced blind. Like, I've heard so much about how good the game is, but I'd never heard any story spoilers or anything like that. And I think it's because the people who play it know that it's just best to go in blind, you know? And it's a great game. The last game I finished in 2023 was The Last of Us Part 2. So, when I first played The Last of Us, 3 years ago, by the way, which is way longer ago than I thought it was, I was mad. I was angry at Tommy for pushing Ellie to continue her trail of violence. I was mad at Abby. I was mad at the end of the game. Right before this playthrough, I told my brother I thought the game was too long. And he said something like, I think it's a great representation for how revenge destroys people. And okay, you know, he was right, but I'm forced to come to the realization that I was wrong about The Last of Us Part 2. So, I guess I should explain the plot to this game, even though I haven't been explaining the plot to anything I've mentioned so far. So, this game's inciting incident is that Ellie's father figure, Joel, was killed by the other main character, Abby, in revenge for killing Abby's dad. Ellie goes across America in the hunt for Abby, and ends up losing everything she loves in the cycle of violence and death. Meanwhile, Abby goes through a journey of self-discovery and becoming a better woman, a better person, and she becomes a caretaker of a young boy named Lev. There are 2 times in this game that Ellie and Abby fight, like savagely fighting, with fists and teeth and time bombs and guns. The first time is immediately after Abby shoots Ellie's friend Jessie. In this fight, the player controls the woman who you want to lose the fight, who narratively deserves to lose this fight. When I originally played in 2020, I purposefully took Abby out of cover to have her lose the fight so Ellie could win the game. I saw other clips of players doing this, and that told me that Naughty Dog hadn't done a good enough job to make us care about Abby. Yes, that's kind of true, but it does go a little deeper than that. About 5 hours earlier in the game, the player character gets yanked away from Ellie and they must play as Abby now. You get to see her grow and be tortured by the way she killed Joel and the way Joel killed her father. When this happens, the player is angry at Abby. For some reason, the switch isn't effective. In this most recent playthrough, though, I knew that this switch was going to happen, so I pretended that Ellie didn't exist. The moment I flipped to Abby's point of view, I pretended like I was playing a totally different game. I pretended that Ellie wasn't there and that I was meeting this whole new protagonist without any knowledge of her backstory. And then when I returned to the fight this time, I treated Ellie as I would have any other NPC, and I won. The second time these women fight, you're playing as Ellie, and it's such a gruesome and dirty fight, like literally dirty, like I'm concerned about their risk of infection dirty. But Ellie and Abby are fighting in the ocean with open wounds, and in the boat behind them is the half-dead body of Lev. If Ellie wins this fight, yes, she wins, but she also dooms an innocent boy to die. In this second fight, the game wants you to want Ellie to lose. I think one of the points of this game was to make the player character really think about the NPCs that they were killing as if they were real people. The NPCs will even call out their friend's name when they discover they're dead. Naughty Dog wanted you to care about an NPC so much that you might just step out of cover and purposefully lose. That was so fucking preachy. Moral of the story is, when I ended The Last of Us Part 2 this time, I wasn't angry. I was sad. I felt the narrative consequences. I truly felt like Ellie had lost everything, and that my feelings and the feelings the story wanted me to feel were congruent, which is a sign of a successful story. The Last of Us is not perfect. I haven't even touched upon the strange gameplay loop that is running in circles, but in my opinion, it does have a successful narrative. So, here's to The Last of Us Part 3. I wait with bated breath. Welcome to... I guess I should switch hands. Ooh. Controversial. I'm holding the mic in the other hand now. Welcome to the segment of the video in which I rank things. And I forgot to take the camera out of cinematic mode, so let me do that now. So, we have a ranking of 10 games here. I did talk about more than 10 games today, but I chose these 10 kind of obligatorily. Also, I feel like I'm so big. Like, I'm standing so far from the wall. These little pieces of paper are so tiny. I haven't really scripted this section out, as you'll know how much I decide to script this by how much I look at my laptop. Let me just scroll down. So, this ranking is probably one of the hardest rankings I've ever done. So don't get angry at me, please. I tried to combat recency bias, but I don't have the time to go back and play all these games again, so I just kind of was going off memory. And, I do like to start controversially, so we're going to go from number 5, and we're going to go down to number 10. By the way, some people were confused with the way in which these are organized. So Mariah, listen really closely, because it's number 1, and then number 2, and then number 3, and then number 4. Saying it now, it is confusing, but we're moving on anyway. We're going to start with number 5. My 5th favorite game I played this year was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So the way in which I wrote this is wild, by the way. The E and the A are really not friends. Like I said, I didn't really love Tears of the Kingdom. I know there is so much love for this game, and people are going to hate me for putting it at number 5. But I just didn't love it. I think now that I know what to expect, I guess I should face the camera. Especially now that I know what to expect, I think I'll like it more the second time around. But at least it wasn't just Breath of the Wild, but again. I know a lot of people were like, ooh, it's just DLC. It was not just DLC. It was a rich game. There was so much going on, so many new things, so many things I didn't like, but so many things that I loved. I loved Princess Zelda. I loved the flashbacks. I loved A lot. I loved Sidon. My number 6 game that I played this year is God of War Ragnarok. I don't remember this game very much. I won't lie, okay? But I remember really enjoying it, and I watched somebody play the DLC, and it looked really fun. It looked just as well made and just as beautiful and beautifully compelling as the main game was. And that's all my notes say on it. So number 7 is Hogwarts Legacy. So I misspelled it, and we're just gonna acknowledge that and move on. I think if I put enough thought into Hogwarts Legacy, I wouldn't like the game. It's not a bad game. It's just got a lot of flaws. It doesn't utilize Hogwarts Castle enough either. There's like some kind of not fun puzzles to do inside of Hogwarts, but that's pretty much it. It is beautiful. Hogwarts Castle is gorgeous. I loved adventuring and walking through it and discovering rooms. Like, there's this one part of the castle that I was, like, walking in, and I was like, what the heck? I've never even been in this part of the castle before. I was like, where am I? And there's so many wonderful little secrets like that, but I wish the game utilized the castle more. Also, props to the game, though, because they managed to make the castle map not be confusing, and there are other games on this list that really struggle to not make their maps confusing. Number 8, Spider-Man. Honestly, it's Spider-Man 2018, but again, I like Spider-Man 2, but it had flaws, and I felt like the main story was good, but I don't know how much I liked the side content. Oh, I did love the web wings, though. That's all I have to say about it. I feel like I've said everything already. I feel like I said so much about Spider-Man. Number 9, we have Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West is honestly mid. It's good, but it also, it's like, if you took the first game, this is a great analogy I just thought of. If you took the first game and you put everything that was in the first game into a jug, and then you poured a bunch of water into the jug, you'd have the things that were great in the first game, but now it's all diluted and it's all floating around, and maybe it's not as nice as it should be. It's like your Kool-Aid isn't strong enough. It's like, it's a good game. But, and, like I said, it's 7 out of 10, but it just doesn't compare to the first game. It just doesn't. It's just not as good. I just scrolled down and read my notes for number 10, because number 10 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and my notes for this say, no other game on this list has managed to frustrate me as much as Jedi Survivor. That is all. Marin is hot! That's my opinion, and we're moving on. My 4th favorite game I played this year is The Last of Us Part 2. I think this game is flawed. I think people are rightly so saying this game is flawed, but I also think people either love this game or they really hate it. And honestly, I think that's a sign of good art. If 50% of people felt like their life was completely changed by something and the other 50% hated it, I feel like history would probably call that good art. I did mention very briefly about the weird gameplay loop of during bosses. The game is really centered around stealth. So when you're put in a zone in which you need to fight a boss, what they did is just give you a big circle, and you would just run from one side of the circle and shoot the boss, and then he'd come running towards you, and you'd run over, and you'd run to the other side of the circle and shoot the boss, and then he'd come running towards you, and you'd go run to the other side. It was the strangest little gameplay loop, and every single boss was like this. It was so weird, but Jesse was hot. So I really should have changed this ranking into which had the hottest characters, because honestly, it would look different. It would look very different if it was just number of hot characters. What am I talking about? We need to move on. Number 3, my third favorite game this year was The Last of Us True Colors. Life is Strange True Colors. Life is Strange True Colors actually psychologically affected me, but I wonder how much of an impact this game is going to have on me in a couple years. Like, when I go back to replay this game in a year or something like that, am I gonna feel the same way I feel about it now? And I don't know what the answer is to that question. I did make a few key mistakes, and so I didn't get the best ending, but I got a very good ending. I feel like I am the target demographic for this game, though. Like, for Life is Strange True Colors, I think I am literally the target demographic, which is probably why it affected me so well. Number 2, my second favorite game of the year is Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. So, Life is Strange True Colors psychologically affected me, but I didn't dream about the Life is Strange True Colors game. I dreamt I was Shepard and then woke up and was shocked that it was a dream. That is the psychological effect Mass Effect had on me. I think the games have flaws. I also didn't read like any of the lore that the game gives you. And I feel bad for the people who wrote all the lore. So there was so much lore in that game. And I was like, TLDR. My game of the year, though. My game of the year is Baldur's Gate. I think Baldur's Gate might change the gaming landscape. I remember when I talked about I missed so much stuff in my first playthrough and still had the time of my life. My first playthrough of Baldur's Gate, I managed to not find Astarion. I managed to not find everybody's favorite companion in that game and still had an amazing time. I managed to literally miss a character that's on the box art and still had fun. So if that isn't a sign of a good game, a game that can account for any decision a player might make, then I don't know what other game. What am I trying to say? I lost the plot halfway through that sentence. The point at the sentence when I started doing this, I lost the plot. My notes say there is some jank, but it's amazing. And I agree with that. I agree with that, Self. You wrote something good when you wrote that down. Shadowheart's the best. And that's all I gotta say about it. There are so many pieces of paper on my floor. I think if this ranking says one thing, it tells me that I have finished a lot of really, really, really good games this year. But also, this ranking is insane. If you gave all of these games to anyone else, it would not look like this. I think it would be very different. I also notice this ranking has a huge gap in gaming. Like, there are no Mario and no Pikmin, and I also do not play horror games. I can't do it. I stress stream about it. I'm also really shit at platformers. I think that's, like, one of my biggest weaknesses. Like, I remember when I was a kid, like, I was playing Super Mario Bros. With my brother, and I'd always have to float around the bubble because I couldn't do the platforming. And then when I grew older, I was like, well, I was bad at platforming because I was a kid. And so I tried to play a Mario game and I stuck at it still. So that was a little bit of a awakening moment for me. I also cannot remember if there was a Pokemon game this year, but I always play the Pokemon games, so I guess it just sucked. My goals for 2024... play more indies. I didn't play any indies. I watched Secret Sleepover Society play Chance of Sonar, and I saw Jusant, I think is what it's called, like an indie climbing game by the same people who created, or same people who published Life is Strange True Colors. And I want to play on my Switch more. I don't play my Switch often enough. I feel like I'm missing out on a huge sector of gaming because I don't open my Switch. 2023 was a great year for gaming. I'm not sure what games I'm looking forward to in this new year. I honestly don't think I know what games are even coming out this year. I think I just figure it out as I go. You know what I want to play? I want to play Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I don't know if I'm going to like that game, but I want to play it because it looks really fun. My sweater is like making me look like a marshmallow, not a marshmallow, a mushroom. Look how long this sweater is. So off topic. I started this video because I watched Arlo rank his favorite games of 2023, and I love Arlo. Arlo, if you ever see this video, I love your videos. You make really good videos. I have more video ideas. This is not the start to regular uploads. This is not. I'm not going to be back on my monthly cadence, but I have other video ideas that I want to make, and I will probably make them this year. If I don't know what to tell you. I'll probably disappoint myself a little bit too. But great year for gaming. Great year for me. I had a good 2023. I hope you had a good 2023. This is such a weird outro. I will see you again. Look, me. Let's get real up close and intimate here. Look. Hope you're having a good day. And I hope you have a wonderful 2024. I will see you again.